Let's get one thing straight. No one, and I mean no one, has championed Shedeur Sanders more fiercely than I have. The man doesn't just carry the Sanders name, he embodies it. And now, scouts across the league are stunned, as they should be, because Shedeur didn't merely attend a private workout. He detonated every preconceived notion, dismantled every doubt, and humiliated every so-called expert who dared to underestimate him. This wasn't a workout. This was a revelation. A career-defining exhibition that electrified the NFL and left executives scrambling to explain how they let a franchise quarterback slip right through their fingers, who, in my eyes, should have been the #1 overall pick, was buried as a fifth-round afterthought by the Cleveland Browns. Fifth string? Fifth round? That wasn't an oversight. That was sabotage. A calculated blackout. No combine invite, no buzz. Round after round, silence. They thought if they starved him of attention long enough, he'd fade into obscurity. What they didn't anticipate was the fire. Try explaining it. You can't, because this wasn't just any quarterback being overlooked. This was the most complete signal caller in the entire 2025 draft class. NFL DNA in his veins, a football IQ hardwired for greatness, command vision, timing, accuracy, poise, and still, they let him fall. And to add insult to injury, the Browns selected another quarterback. Dillon Gabriel, 50 picks before drafting Shedeur. 50 picks. That wasn't just a draft strategy, that was a statement. But Shedeur didn't whine. He didn't tweet subliminals. He didn't mope. He vanished, the way real assassins do, into the grind. We've all seen it. That midnight workout in Dallas, that was conviction, no spotlights, no entourage, just Shedeur. Throwing frozen ropes in silence at 1 o'clock, I aim like a championship was on the line. That was his message. You will see me whether you want to or not. And he wasn't done. He landed in Cleveland and immediately went to work, earning respect. But the true turning point? Miami. Not a public park, not some rented turf behind a gym. This was the facility, the one Tom Brady trains at. The place where Aaron Rodgers escapes to refine the art. This is sacred ground, invitation only. And Shedeur walked in ready. He didn't call the press. He didn't hire hype men. He called in the wolves. Former NFL defensive coordinators, grizzled scouts, veterans who've dissected Mahomes, dissected Manning, and torn down 1,000 so-called prodigies. They weren't there to be impressed. They were there to break him. The NFL blackballed him, tried to humble both him and his father, but Shedeur faced them. 6 o'clock a.m., 15 decision makers, clipboards in hand, doubt in their eyes. This wasn't a showcase, it was a crucible. First throw, 40 yards, tight spiral, right in stride. One scout blinked like he'd seen a ghost. Second throw, comeback route, timing, anticipation. Shedeur released it before the cut. The ball hit the receiver's numbers the instant he turned. One scout dropped his clipboard. Literally, you could feel the air shift, and that wasn't a fluke. That was the warning shot. Then came the crescendo. 2-minute drill. If Shedeur Sanders had a different last name, if he weren't the son of football's most polarizing icon, would the Browns already be shaping him into the franchise's future? The stats scream yes. The tape confirms it. Even Kevin Stefanski can't help but gush. But the depth chart? It still whispers, not yet. The league? Comfortable dragging its feet. But reckonings don't vanish. They build pressure until they break through. Every laser Shedeur launches in Berea inches us closer to that reckoning, where raw, undeniable talent collides with outdated narratives and institutional inertia. Let's break down those numbers. 77% completion in practice. That's not just sharp, it's absurd. Training camp sessions are chaotic, receivers rotating, playbooks shifting, unpredictable scripts. Rookies usually hover near 60% while trying to process the language of the league. Veterans often miss more than fans realize. But Shedeur, he's not just surviving, he's commanding. And those 9 touchdowns? That's surgical work. These aren't checkdowns or gimmies. He's dropping red zone darts, threading 30-yard throws, lofting precision touch passes over defenders, multiple reads, complex concepts, elite-level ball placement. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel's hovering in the high 50s with 3 interceptions. Kenny Pickett playing it safe. Flacco, when the pocket collapses, so does he. Statistically, Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback on the field right now. So why isn't anyone saying it out loud? Because admitting it would mean confronting the fact that they got the draft narrative wrong. that all the critiques about anticipation or the gimmicky Colorado system were off base. And some people in this league, they're still not ready to admit that Deion Sanders might have been right again. But here's the thing. Numbers don't lie. They don't care about legacy, politics, or perception. They are what they are. And every time a beat reporter tweets out another eye-popping stat, the silence surrounding Shedeur feels less like caution and more like denial. And denial? It has an expiration date. If this kid keeps stacking 77% days, it won't matter how far down the depth chart you bury him. Truth finds daylight, and when it does, it incinerates every excuse. Now, let's be fair. This isn't a knock on Joe Flacco. The man saved a broken team last season. He carried them into the postseason, reigniting hope in a fan base on life support. Cutting him feels cruel, maybe even unjust. Vets respect him. He's that calming presence, the steady hand. As for Pickett, well, that trade was strange. He came from Philly without a ring, but the Browns gave up capital for him, and front offices hate admitting mistakes, so they'll ride it out. Gabriel? He's the scouting department's darling, drafted 2 rounds before Shedeur. Letting him flame out early would mean answering some tough internal questions, so they're handling him like a fragile asset, gently, methodical. And then there's Shedeur, the disruptor, the spark, the wild card they didn't pay for, but the one already threatening to rewrite their timeline. Too many reps with the ones, and suddenly the safe narrative unravels. Suddenly, you've got a full-blown public relations dilemma on your hands, because if Shedeur clicks with the starters like he did during OTAs, if he lights up practice again, then someone's getting traded or cut. And you can already hear the murmurs. Pickett possibly heading to Indy or New Orleans. Flacco's name, it's been floating on a few shortlists too. Franchises hunting for a seasoned bridge. If either one of them moves before week 1, we'll know exactly who forced that decision, because eventually merit rises. It always does. And Shedeur isn't just stacking good days, he's compiling undeniable evidence. Soon, the front office won't have a single corner left to hide in. Now, I saw something the other day that really lingered. Flacco and Shedeur, side by side. Veteran and rookie, mentor and student. Flacco telling war stories. Shedeur nodding, absorbing, learning. On the surface, it was wholesome, the kind of image coaches love to promote. But underneath, there's a philosophical fault line. Flacco is the embodiment of the old NFL reserved, traditional, keep your head down, avoid disruption. His brand is that he doesn't have a brand. He even quipped, adults should have fun in private. When Shedeur teased him for dancing on camera, translation, if you want to be respected, act like me. But Shedeur, he's the new NFL incarnate, streaming, merchandising, interacting with fans in real time. His generation watched Mahomes win championships and post TikToks. For them, authenticity isn't a bonus, it's the baseline. So when you place those two worldviews in the same quarterback room, there's bound to be friction, not shouting, but subtle tensions. Flacco rolls his eyes at social media questions. Shedeur shrugs because the camera's always been there. And coaches, many of whom relate more to Flacco's era, gravitate toward what they know. They understand Flacco. Shedeur, he's the wild card, even though, let's be real, he's been spotless in the public eye. Still, that quiet bias, that fear of what's unfamiliar, it seeps into the evaluations, into the snap counts, into the narratives we hear about who's earned what. But I'm telling you right now, he's coming, and no amount of delay tactics can stall what's already erupting beneath the surface. This isn't just a quarterback competition, it's a collision of cultures. And it's unfolding in real time, right there on the grass in Berea. Let's just call it, when Joe Flacco makes a risky throw, it's labeled veteran savvy. When Shedeur Sanders makes the exact same play, it's rookie overconfidence. Flacco takes a sack on a pump fake, he's shaking off rust. Shedeur does it, he lacks pocket awareness. I've been tracking this closely. And it's become more than a battle for QB1. This is a story of legacy, mentorship, and the uncertain passing of the torch. You can feel it in the air at Browns camp. Flacco, the seasoned warrior, knows the ground is shifting. He laughs with Shedeur, sure, but there's a look behind the smile. The look of a king watching the rise of a young prince, one who can summon millions with a single emoji. I've heard those film sessions are electric. Flacco breaking down blitz pickups from the 2012 playoffs, Shedeur countering with modern spread option adjustments from 2024. Sometimes the room just cracks up at the generational gap. Flacco mentions MySpace, and Shedeur replies, "Man, I was 6 when that was a thing." But here's the part that matters. The Browns are standing at a crossroads, and they've got to decide, are these two quarterbacks clashing, or is this chemistry? Handled correctly, this could become a textbook mentorship arc, a veteran passing the crown to the prodigy. But mismanaged, if reps are handed out based on politics instead of performance, it could fracture everything. Locker room harmony, media relations, even long-term potential. In this league, transitions define legacies. Get it? Right? You build a dynasty. Get it wrong? You fumble your future. So take 2 seconds, smash that subscribe button, like the video, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters. Thank you for the support. And then came Colin Cowherd. Like a bullhorn in a monastery. Just 2 weeks into minicamp, he detonated a take that echoed through all of Berea. The Browns stumbled into a star they didn't even want. According to Cowherd, Cleveland had its eyes on Dylan Gabriel and accidentally landed Shedeur. Now, the rookie is outplaying everyone. Say what you want about Cowherd, but don't pretend he doesn't have sources. He doubled down, said his league contacts were buzzing about how sharp Shedeur looked even behind closed doors. His pre-snap reads already more advanced than Gabriel's. And while Gabriel may be consistent, Shedeur delivers electricity. Here's the uncomfortable truth coaches won't say out loud. Media pressure changes things. Sure, they all claim they don't listen to talk shows or hot takes, but we know better. These narratives move merchandise. They spark ticket sales. They shift morale. When a national voice declares Shedeur the best QB in camp, local reporters have to respond. And the easiest way to cool the heat? Give the kid more reps. Let the tape speak. Which brings us to the bigger picture, because this isn't just about one quarterback or one camp. It's about how the NFL adapts, or fails to players like Shedeur Sanders. Let's rewind. Deion Sanders didn't just play in the NFL. He exploded into it. Chains at team lunches, baseball on Saturday, football on Sunday, dancing on the Cowboy Star. The owners loved the ratings, but the suits hated the independence. Deion answered to no one. Fast forward to 2025, Prime 2 is here, his son. Same swagger, but now fused with social savvy, branding fluency, and NIL instincts that make old school endorsements look like antiques. Some NFL executives see potential. Others see a threat to the hierarchy. But here's what they can't deny. You can't bury brilliance. Because if Shedeur Sanders succeeds, he rewrites the rules. Suddenly, rookies won't just want signing bonuses. They'll want content clauses in their contracts, personal videographers at team facilities, freedom to post locker room highlights, and creative autonomy the NFL has never had to reckon with. And that kind of player-driven empowerment, it terrifies the old guard. Stephen A. Smith said it plainly, they couldn't silence Deion, though now they're trying to silence his son. The league doesn't want a quarterback who understands his worth before they can assign a price tag, and let's not pretend race is part of this equation. The NFL celebrates black excellence, but only when it fits a familiar mold. Polished, corporate, and reserved, that's the Russell Wilson archetype. But Deion, loud, radiant, and untamed. And Shedeur, he's inherited that unapologetic flame. He doesn't hide his shine, he embraces it. He posts highlight edits, retweets fan memes, flaunts luxury watches, not because he's arrogant, but because he knows exactly who he is. That confidence isn't unethical, it's just loud. And in boardrooms built on hushed control, that loudness rattles walls. Then comes the pedigree dilemma. Some scouts dismiss him outright as Deion's son. They whisper nepotism while conveniently overlooking the late-night film sessions, the precision footwork, the NFL-level mechanics broadcast weekly from Colorado. They don't see a 23-year-old quarterback thriving under pressure. They see a shadow of a legend. And until recently, those critics had an excuse. Sure, he dominated at an HBCU, but let's see him do it in the Power 5. Then he did that, okay, but can he do it in the NFL? Well, minicamp is here, and the kid is still slicing defenses apart. So now what? Either the league pivots and acknowledges the obvious, or it doubles down on its doubts and hopes that preseason exposes him. But that's a risky wager. Because every dime Shedeur drops in August will go viral. Dion will post it. Fans will meme it. Analysts will dissect it. And the longer the NFL drags its heels, the more it reeks not of caution, but of fear. If Shedeur seizes QB2 or QB1 by September, the NFL landscape tilts. Suddenly, teams aren't just scouting tape. They're evaluating charisma, brand equity, and audience influence. NIL stars start rising up draft boards. Marketing departments begin begging for rookies with built-in followings. But if Cleveland buries him, it'll be seen for what it is, fear masquerading as patience, and the fallout will be brutal. The headlines won't be about development. They'll say the Browns chose comfort over capability. And other GMs, they'll start circling. They'll call Andrew Barry and say, what would it take to see Sanders in our jersey? Picture this. Shedeur lighting up MetLife in a Giants uniform, commanding Sean Payton's offense in Denver, while Cleveland drifts into mediocrity. The fans, they'll remember, and they'll roast this franchise for years. Because the NFL doesn't just sell competition, it sells hope. And Shedeur Sanders is hope. He's energy. He's future. He's what fans believe in. If the Browns fumble this moment, it won't just be a football misstep. It'll be a PR catastrophe, the kind that echoes for decades. Like when Chicago passed on Mahomes and the league watched history rewrite itself. And if the league tries to muzzle Shedeur, Dion won't bite his tongue. He'll go live on ESPN. He'll drop receipts on Pat McAfee. He'll tweet from the sidelines and rally an army. He'll make sure the entire nation knows exactly what's happening behind the curtain. Because once the public senses a star being buried for daring to shine, even neutral fans will rally behind him. So what should Cleveland do? Simple. Lean into the merit. Make it a true competition. Count every rep. Film the scrimmages. Let the world watch. Because transparency kills conspiracy. But here's the catch. Doing that takes guts. Because if Shedeur outperforms the veterans on a live stream, you can't ignore it. You have to give him the job, and that right there is the heartbeat of this entire saga. The Shedeur Sanders story isn't just about a promising rookie. It's a referendum on what the modern NFL really values. Are we rewarding performance or protecting egos? Are we building a league that champions undeniable talent, or are we punishing players who don't fit the mold? Because here's what I see. Shedeur isn't generating buzz because of his last name. He's earning it through throws, through reads, through the commanding presence he brings every day in camp. And the Browns, they have a decision to make. They can cling to the tired narrative, or they can respond to what's unfolding on the field. Because if they bench him, they lose more than a quarterback. They lose the trust of the fans, the locker room, and the future. Talent like this, it takes. Shedeur Sanders isn't just the most electrifying QB in camp. He might be the most pivotal rookie storyline in the NFL this offseason. He's already changing the game. The only question is, will Cleveland let him finish the story or slam the book shut before he even picks up the pen? Give him the reps. Give him the shot. Primetime may have been too loud for the old league, but they won't silence his son for long. That's not merely a slip, it's a resounding message from all 32 franchises, and yet, in true Sanders fashion, he entered Cleveland, not with resentment, but with unwavering belief. That's where the real intrigue begins. If draft day disappointment wasn't enough of a wake-up call, the Browns delivered an even louder message by selecting Dillon Gabriel before Sanders. Gabriel, the flashy Oregon quarterback, heard his name called first, leaving Sanders to trail a player just as untested as himself. Yet Shedeur didn't flinch. Instead of sulking, he embraced the challenge, standing shoulder to shoulder behind Gabriel, Pickett, and Flacco on the depth chart. What transforms this from a mere quarterback competition into something far more compelling is the fact that the stakes have never been higher, and the clock is ticking. Despite the mounting pressure, Shedeur's presence in Cleveland has been electric. On his own YouTube channel, he shared his enthusiasm for the journey. It's lit, he declared about the quarterback room. That spark might catch some off guard, especially considering he's not the starter, nor even the second option. But Shedeur is playing the long game. He's absorbing every nugget of wisdom from the veterans and devouring NFL reps like a sponge. He might not be QB1 yet, but he's behaving like a man who knows his moment is on the horizon, just not today. Has he been underestimated? Or are the doubts justified? Let us know what you would do if you were in Kevin Stefanski's shoes. And if you want more exclusive behind-the-scenes content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. There's always that one pivotal moment, subtle, silent, that transforms the entire atmosphere of a fan base. It's not always a blockbuster trade or a fiery press conference meltdown. Sometimes it's a single digital action. While fans roar over highlight reel plays on Sundays, it's often in the shadows of the locker room where the real narrative begins, especially when the presumed cornerstone of a franchise suddenly steps into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. On an unassuming Thursday, defensive lineman Ogbo Okoronkwo made a move that seemed trivial. He double-tapped a post on Instagram. Yet, in the realm of professional sports, even a simple like can carry the weight of a headline. The post in question? It criticized Myles Garrett's absence from Browns OTAs, subtly questioning his commitment to leadership. Now, Ogbo and Garrett aren't strangers, they're teammates, and this wasn't some random fan's hot take. It echoed sentiments reportedly shared by several within the Browns' inner circle. A small gesture, but in today's social media world, even the tiniest spark can ignite a wildfire, especially when it comes to locker room intrigue. The post Ogbo engaged with pulled no punches, spotlighting Garrett's choice to skip OTAs for a trip to Japan with Olympic snowboarder Chloe Kim. The timing, more than anything, raised eyebrows, especially after his lucrative $160 million 0-cents extension, designed not just to cement his on-field dominance, but to solidify his role as a team leader. The caption leaned into that narrative, quoting ESPN's Nick Pace, who bluntly questioned whether Garrett was truly the defensive leader the Browns so desperately need. In a team craving stability, those kinds of questions can hit harder than a blindside sack. What makes this moment feel even more charged is that, allegedly, this isn't the first time Garrett has been, shall we say, fashionably late. Whispers of him skipping mandatory team activities or rolling into the facility on his own schedule have circulated before, never fully confirmed, rarely denied. Ball on the 15, down 6, no timeouts, 85 yards to destiny. They loaded a defense with real NFL veterans, not scrubs, men who know how to bait, disguise, destroy. No mercy, no room for error. And Shedeur, he stepped in like he'd been there 1,000 times before. The ball is snapped. Most college quarterbacks panic in that moment. Some freeze, others throw picks. A few just brace for the turf. But Shedeur, he glides into the pocket like a 10-year veteran. Calm, composed, surgical. His eyes never stop scanning. He identifies the tightest window, threading the needle between a linebacker and a safety, and launches a strike. Receiver hauls it in stride, touchdown. The linebacker who blew the zone just stood there, frozen. The safety who rotated over shook his head in disbelief. The scouts, they weren't sitting anymore. Some were already on their feet. One general manager, off the record, whispered, "That's the most complete quarterback performance I've seen in 2 decades." And still, it wasn't over. Now came the chaos. Simulation mode. Former Pro Bowl edge rushers crashing the pocket. Blitzes disguised and detonated from every angle. 7-step drops. It's the kind of crucible that exposes even seasoned NFL veterans. But Shedeur, he thrives in the fire. Snap. Edge rush coming hot. Middle pressure collapsing in. The pocket folds like paper. Shedeur steps up. Slides left, eyes still downfield, and fires a 30-yard laser between 2 defenders while taking a hit. The ball floats like poetry and lands perfectly in the hands of his receiver. The pass rusher, mid-tackle, just turns to watch the spiral. Sail past him! Then it happens, clap. One scout breaks the silence, then another. And suddenly, a standing ovation. In the middle of a private workout, the kind of respect you can't fake. The kind you earn by rewriting the narrative in real time. But the coaches weren't finished testing him, not even close. They handed him the entire NFL playbook. Not watered-down college nonsense. Full protections, hot reads, motion shifts, pre-snap, disguises, audibles on audibles. This is the stuff rookies spend years digesting, and Shedeur, he devoured it in minutes. He was calling out blitz pickups, shifting protections, audibling like a seasoned signal caller. One play, he recognized a disguised zone blitz, adjusted protection, reprogrammed a route for his slot receiver, and dropped a touchdown like it was routine. The defensive coordinator who designed that trap, he didn't argue, he just stood there, hands on hips, speechless. And then came the moment that separated Shedeur from the rest. He didn't celebrate, he didn't pose, he walked straight up to the defenders and started asking questions. What coverage did you disguise there? Where were you trying to bait me? What would you do differently next time? One former NFL linebacker said, "I've trained QBs for a decade. They never ask those questions. That's not just talent, that's obsession. That's the film room coming alive. That's leadership in motion. And then chaos again. Within 48 hours, Shedeur's phone was on fire. 3 NFL teams reached out to schedule private visits. The Giants sent their offensive coordinator to rewatch every snap. The Raiders, their owner, not a scout, personally called Shedeur's agent. Thank you guys. See you next video.